Good morning and welcome to the Triangle Center for Spiritual Living. We're coming to you from the Four Points Sheraton out by the airport, RDU Airport. My name is Marianne Atwell Hardy, and we are going to start today, as we always do, with the meditation for about 15 minutes. A meditation is so important for us to just be able to settle in, to be able to open our ears, close our eyes, expand our heart, prepare the space for what will come next. And today I'd like us to focus on breathing from the heart. I know we typically focus on the breath coming in through the nose or the lungs, but we can also breathe from our heart. It's an organ. And I'm going to start today by reading a reading from Henry Nouwen, who is one of my favorite people. He was a Dutch Catholic theologian who was a prolific writer, teacher. And this is his daily meditation. It's called, "Your Heart is the Center of Your Being." In the biblical understanding, our heart is at the center of our being. It's not a muscle, but a symbol for the very center of our being. Now, the beautiful thing about the heart is that the heart is the place where we are most ourselves. It's the very core of our being, this spiritual center of our being. Solitude and silence, for instance, are ways to get to the heart, because the heart is the place where God speaks to us, where we hear the voice that calls us beloved. This is precisely the most intimate place. In the famous story, Elijah was standing in front of the cave. God was not in the storm. God was not in the fire. God was not in the earthquake. But God was in that soft little voice. That soft little voice that speaks to the heart. Prayer and solitude are ways to listen to the voice that speaks to your heart in the center of our being. One of the most amazing things is that if you enter deeper and deeper into that place, you not only meet God, but you meet the whole world. So I invite you, we're going to spend about 15 minutes. I invite you to just settle in, to get very quiet, to try and focus on that heart, that center of our being. And we'll just listen to some quiet music. to slowly come back into the room. You can open your eyes or keep them soft. I just want to thank you for being part of this meditation this morning, for preparing the space for what will come next, because our consciousness aids all of us. So welcome, and our service will begin at 10:15. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Triangle Center for Spiritual Living. Whether you are here in the sanctuary at 4 Points by Sheridan or you have invited us into your homes this morning, we are very grateful that you have decided to join us. For those of you who may not know me, my name is Dusty Ripplemeyer, and I have the joy and the privilege of being this center's spiritual director. We are part of a larger organization called Centers for Spiritual Living. At Centers for Spiritual Living, we believe that there is one power and presence back of everything that there is, an energy that has created everything seen and unseen, and that includes each and every single one of us. We were created in its image and likeness, and we are connected to its presence in ways that can never, ever be broken. Made in its image and likeness, we too are creative. And in fact, we are creating every moment of every day, whether we are doing so consciously or unconsciously. And so, really, the point of being together is not only to be in community and to love each other up and welcome each other and be there and supportive for each other, but is to remind each other who we really are and to remember when each of us is struggling to remember that truth as we create the experiences of our lives and to be able to do that consciously. And so we gather together on Sundays and Wednesdays and for classes and for social events to really support each other as we walk this spiritual path. And so, again, we are very glad that you have joined us this morning. I have a couple of announcements this morning, and the first is around spiritual education for the Triangle Center for Spiritual Living. So, coming this month in January, we're offering a brand new CSL course that has never been taught here before at the Triangle Center for Spiritual Living. It's called Visioning, a Way of Life. It's a 6-week exploration class looking at the particular modality or the particular practice called visioning. In visioning, we turn down the volume of our small minds, which are often filled with doubt and negative small talk, to receive the revelations of spirit of our higher selves, which knows our highest possibilities and what we came here to be in this lifetime. When practiced regularly, visioning can transform every single aspect of our daily lives, from clarity on our life's purpose to interpersonal relationships to the organizations with which we belong and the societies in which we live. It's a highly experiential course in which we participate in fun exercises to unlock the right brain and the subconscious mind, have interactive discussions, journal about personal truths, and include a full visioning session in each and every single class. It's really, visioning is a very wonderful and powerful practice that we do here at the Triangle Center for Spiritual Living. And in fact, we just did a visioning for 2023 on January 1st. So for those of you that were here and perhaps have been in class before where we've done some visioning, you know what it is and how powerful it can be. Now, this particular class will be held on Zoom on 6 consecutive Thursday nights from 6:30 to 9:30, starting on January 26th, Thursday, January 26th. It's taught by Carol Cross, who's a licensed spiritual practitioner here at the center. And she also has a master's degree in education and over 30 years experience in teaching and learning. The cost is $195 with a $25 deposit. Payment plans are available. There is no prerequisites for this class, so anyone can join it, anyone can take it, and we'd love for you to do so because, you know, for each and every single one of us, one person at a time to really begin to lead a vision-led life only helps the collective in really powerful and wonderful ways. So please consider joining us for that. And you can go to the website and sign up for that, or send an email to info@trianglecsl.org, and Heather will connect you with that. The other announcement that I have is around home groups. Now, I think Tom, maybe it was 2014, perhaps somewhere around there, when a group of leaders from our community went to Chicago for a meta model conference. And we came home from that conference with a lot of really great and wonderful ideas. And for me, the best idea that we came back with was this idea of a small group model. Now, within the small group model, the idea is that each and every person within a community is supported by someone, and no one supports more than 10 people at a time. So we have these, we started right after we got back, we started some home groups, and many of those home groups are still in existence all this time later, and they're still loving and supporting each other. The home groups meet once a month, typically the third Friday of every month. We have a group of people headed by one of our licensed spiritual practitioners, Barbara Kane, who creates content for each meeting that the leaders of the group or the groups themselves can decide how much of that content that they want to use or not use. But we do offer them that to make it easier for them. But it's an opportunity to really dive deeper into the theme of the month by sitting with a small group of like-minded people and really sharing. So in a small group like that, your voice can be heard. And it's really a wonderful opportunity because those groups are like going to Vegas. What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. What happens in these small groups stays in these small groups. So you can feel really safe and secure that you can share with authenticity and with all of the uniqueness of you as an individual in that group. So small groups foster a care structure for community members. So over the years, oftentimes somebody from the small group might be in the hospital or might be experiencing some dis-ease in their life. And the people that are there and the most supportive for them are the other members of their home group. And it's a really a wonderful feeling to have that group. These are my people, right? They're my people. They're sharing authentic, meaningful conversation, like-minded people sharing meaningfully and deeply with each other. It's a creation of a deep connection to each other. I always would think about it. I remember I have some friends in my life that have really large families, extended families, like lots of cousins and aunts and uncles. And so they have these family reunions, and it could be like 250 people that go to these family reunions. And so you could kind of feel like overwhelmed, or at least I did whenever I would go along with, that would feel like really overwhelmed because there was just so many people and so many people that you really didn't know very well. But then all of a sudden there's that close, small knit group of cousins, and we all lived on the same block. And we'd go after school, we'd go to each other's houses. Sometimes we'd have dinner there, sometimes not, but we were always together and always doing things together. So here you are, you're in this big group of 250 people, and then all of a sudden you see that small group of really connected cousins, and those are your people. And that is what that home group can be in a larger community, to know you have that small group of people, that you are really loved and cared for by them. Consistent active participation in the group. So it's once a month, you get to see them, they get to see you. Maintain connection and community and intimacy as the larger group grows. Active ministry to each other and service to the larger community. Sometimes the groups will do things to assist the larger community in a connected way. Create a space of spiritual growth and support. So each time you meet, you're talking about the theme of the month, and you're going deeper into that, how that shows up for you in a really practical way, day to day to day. Deepening spiritual practice during that time together. You'll meditate a little bit, you do some prayer, you might do some contemplation around some spiritual quotes that we send out. You learn from each other, and which is always a really wonderful thing. We are at times teachers and we are at times students, and it's a really wonderful opportunity in this small connected group to be able to experience both, and to know that that you're doing that together with people that really care about you. There's joy and laughter and fun, some good food typically, and they provide an entry into the community beyond Sundays. We've had a couple of times where that was the first experience. Somebody joined a home group because they lived in the area of that home group. They heard about it. They knew people who were in the group. They were invited into the group with everyone's buying into that, and then they ended up coming to service and being part of the larger community. So Sunday, January 29th has been designated as Home Group Sunday. And so for all of you out there or in here that are part of a home group, my invitation is to gather up the people in your home group and come together on that Sunday, January 29th, for Home Group Sunday. And then following the service, we'll have a meeting to discuss home groups. It'll be an opportunity for people that are in the groups now to really speak to how that group has enhanced their life over the years, and to see who from the community that is not currently in a home group but would like to be in a home group can get involved. We would love to expand the program. There's people that have moved out of the area that have left their home groups, and so we'd like to funnel some other people into those groups and to add some new groups. Groups are often designed around a geographical area, like perhaps people that live in Pittsburgh have a group, that because it's a little easier for them to gather together when they live so far out, or perhaps it's an affinity group, retired people or single women or whatever, things like that. And sometimes it's just say a foundations class. There have been times in the past when a foundations class decided, man, we just love being together. We've been together now for these last 10 weeks, and we want to continue to do so. And so they will create a small group around that. So it doesn't really matter how it gets started. It's just that it did, and that it is so very wonderful for each and every person that is in the group and for this larger community as a whole. So please, please, please consider joining us for Home Group Sunday and staying for the conversation that will happen afterwards. It will be very much worth your while to participate in that. So thank you so much. Reverend Tom Pitman is in the house today, so we're very excited to have him speak with us. It's always a pleasure when he is here, and he's been in and out of this community for many, many, many years, always a part of it, whether he's been in the area or not. And we absolutely love him and love every time he comes to join us. And I thank very much licensed spiritual practitioner Marianne Hardy for her beautiful, beautiful meditation that set the container for our service to unfold within. Thank you so very much, Marianne. And speaking of Marianne, let's welcome her back up to the pulpit.
Good morning again. The theme for the year 2023 is Living Out Loud. Our theme for the month of January is Root and Reboot. Reverend Tom's talk title today is Unification is the Universal Voice. Yes? Okay. Sometimes spirit moves and things change. Now I'm going to read our community's purpose statement, which is our reason for being here. Our purpose is to inspire, educate, and empower individuals to experience themselves as unique and individualized expressions of God, the love intelligence that governs the universe. We are committed to not merely a theoretical understanding of our oneness and unity with God, but to consciously practice this truth in our everyday lives. Through celebration, service, study, and fellowship, we are committed to the transformation of our personal lives and to being a powerful and beneficial presence on the planet. With the energy of unconditional love, simply, we are here for God. So if you will just soften your gaze, close your eyes, whatever it helps to go within. because this is our moment of centering so that we can prepare ourselves to be able to listen with open ears and open heart. So there will be some crystal bowls playing, and I urge you to just stay with the music until the sound fades.
When you're ready, slowly and gently open your eyes and bring your attention back to your bodies right here in your seats. The Triangle Center for Spiritual Living honors the diversity and the threads of truth that run through all spiritual paths, as represented by this ceremony. At this time, please welcome Larry and Sean as they will be assisting this morning with our ritual. Thank you so much, both of you. Christianity is the path of Christ consciousness, love, and forgiveness. Buddhism is the path of compassion and understanding. Judaism is the path of ethical of Judaism is the ethical path of living by sacred law. Baha'i is the path of unity and peace. Islam is the path of submission to the will of God, the highest calling. Confucianism is the path of deliberate tradition. Taoism is the natural way, the path of ultimate reality. Native American practice and shamanic traditions are the path of primal spirituality. Shintoism is the path of tribal ancestry. Hinduism is the path of knowledge, action, and devotion. Science of mind and spirit is the path of divine principle of love and law. And the heart represents the one heart, the one love that resides at the center of all people and all beings everywhere, with no exceptions. May peace prevail on earth through the followers of all paths. And so it is. At this time, we can close our eyes, our outer eyes, one more time, and we turn our inner eyes wide open as we recognize the truth that is always the truth and is always available. That truly there is this divine, beyond words, beyond explanation. It is the air that we breathe. It is who and what we are. It is unconditional love. To merely try and to describe it in words is injustice. It is, it just is. It is who and what we are at our very basic core of your essence. It is who I am, it is what I am, and this is the truth for you and everyone everywhere. It is always available 24/7. All it asks is our attention, our devotion, and our action, and it is already there. It is something that is within us, within our souls and our walking being. So I'm so grateful for knowing this truth that wherever I go, it goes with me, and this is the truth for you. All we need to always do is just tap into it. That is all. It is there. It is powerful. It is loving. It is unconditional. It is there. As I'm so grateful for each of you bringing your vulnerability, your presence, your core, your love right here, I'm also equally grateful for all the volunteers that created this space here, coming early, putting their love, their support into creating this beautiful space, for bringing us together, for creating the script, for going deep within their essence to reveal their God uniqueness to this service today. And I'm so grateful for Cindy Johnson blessing us with her beautiful music, for Reverend Tom Pitman for coming forward and speaking of unity, that truly, at the essence of all, we are one, and his message is loud and clear today. So I'm so grateful for your presence here. Thank you. And for Reverend Dusty for all her love, all her support always, and for everyone here. And together we say, and so it is. And so at this time, we welcome, oh no, at this time, I have a reading. And that reading for today is from Ernest Holmes. He says, we believe that the mind of God governs all things. We believe that there is a divine intelligence governing and guiding, counseling and advising, causing us to know what to do under every circumstances at all times, if we will but trust it. Our mind is the mind of God within us. God has no problems, for God is the presence and the power that knows all things and can do all things. If we but take our problem to the high place in our consciousness, it will disappear as we feel the answer is taking the place of the problem. There is nothing that can keep this from happening except our own thought of doubt or limitation. The science of spiritual mind healing treatment cannot promise something for nothing. It does, however, teach, and it can demonstrate that a betterment of circumstances and conditions can be brought about through the realization that there is active in our undertakings a greater power than we are. It will be unthinkable to believe that the creative intelligence of the universe could lack anything, or that it could plan for its creation to lack that which expresses its own being. The divine could only intend good and abundance for its creation, and we need to know that its nature is forever flowing into everything we do. And at this time, we introduce Cindy Johnson. Thank you.
In the morning when I rise, and before I close my eyes, God's light surrounds me. God's love enfolds me. God's power protects me. The presence of God watches over me. Wherever I am, God is. When the cold winds start to blow and they beat upon your door, every night will have its dawn. Hold this thought as you hold on. God's light surrounds me. God's love enfolds me. God's power protects me. The presence of God watches over me. Wherever I am, God is. We all hear the Spirit call. It's a small world after all, bound together in and through this one common simple truth. God's light surrounds me. God's love enfolds me. God's power protects me. Presence of God watches over me. Wherever I am, wherever I may be, wherever I may go, God is.
I'm going to talk now, channeling my best Minnie Pearl. You know, when Mary Ann said, "Is this going to be the title of your talk?" Well, sometimes it changes. You know, Spirit decides it should be something else. And that happens quite often as I speak. Sometimes words come out of my mouth and I'm going, where are those? Those weren't anything I prepared. I listened to that song and you heard those first few opening bars. You know what it sounded like to me? The theme song from one of my favorite movies, The Princess Bride. It sounded just like that. And I thought, yeah, you know, what a good theme that would have been. But that's not my theme today. You remember Wesley used to say, as you wish. Well, Ernest would have said, as you think. And Tom's going to tell you, no, it's as you choose. But let's go ahead and we'll do some of the stuff that I prepared. And if it gets too long, just wave your hand, tell me, we'll stop wherever we are. I don't mind. Don't take it personally. It ain't me up here. This is Spirit expressing as Tom. Oh, what a thought. The world doesn't agree with that. The world tells us that we are a physical body. We're living in a physical world. That's all it is. You're born, you die, on to the next guy. And while we're here, we have these 5 senses, physical senses. You know, we hear, we see, we smell, we taste. What's the other one? Touch. Of course. Thank you. Thank you. And a lot of people say, well, there should be more. There should be a sixth sense and maybe a seventh and an eighth. Well, I would suggest one that we ought to consider is the ability to speak. And it's very important as we do this practice that we call the science of mind. We speak all the time, and we're going to talk about that a little bit as we go. But the purpose of our talk today, the purpose of our theme for the month, is we're going to talk about unification. We're talking about spiritual mind healing treatments, and unification is the second step. You know, we've done last week, are you ready to receive? The U is unification. First one was recognition. That was last week's. And what was the purpose of that? Well, the purpose of recognition was to tell you God is all there is. Now, some people call unification identification. I don't. I stick with unification because I can't make the acronym work. R-I-R-T. It doesn't work for me. So I stick with unification. Y'all can choose what you like. It's all the same thing, a little different perspective as we look at it. But what is it? What exactly is unification? It's simply knowing ourselves as spirit, as God. Remember, first R, God is all there is. Well, if God is all there is, gee, I'm part of that all there is. So we need to make sure that we understand this unification thing, that we realize that we're part of God. But let's look at it a little deeper. Unification is actually our first opportunity, the first activity we have to commune, to be in communion with God, to realize that it's this way. It's not this way, one on top, it's this way. All right, so we mix together. It's to have a deep sense, a deep feeling of the presence of God in you. And we want to have that. Now, I'm not going to sit here and tell you unification is the most important step in a spiritual mind healing treatment. I'm not going to say that. Ernest Holmes said it. He said, if you're not there, you stay at that level. You stay at that level of unification until you're absolutely certain, no doubt in your mind, that you live, you move, you have your being as part of God, as an expression of God. And he says, if you're not sure, don't go into the rest of the treatment. Now, that doesn't mean you get to skip the next 3 Sundays. You come, you learn about them, and you keep working at them, okay? So I'm just telling you. Do I need to? Can you hear me now? Okay. I don't hear worth a darn to begin with, so I couldn't tell. All right, so we'll go on with whatever, where was I? But let's look at our teaching. This thing is really down low, so if I have to... No, I wasn't. I was talking about my papers down low. I've got trifocals on, here, and I'm trying to get to the computer screen level. Anyway, I told you, I change things as I go, and sometimes I don't know what's going to come out of my mouth. So I hope the words that come out are meaningful to you, or at least speak to somebody. They resonate with me. So maybe they'll resonate with one of you. But anyway, science of mind teaches us that we are all individualized expressions of the divine. I'm trying, y'all. Yeah. I don't know sign language, so you've got to listen to me. But what, but what does it mean in actuality to be individualized expressions of God? We know it's the truth. But what it means to us that as God is, I am. Okay, Tom, you use these little, we hear that all the time, but what does that actually mean? It means that God is all that I am, but I'm not all that God is. And how do we get to that point? We can have all these wonderful phrases. We can have all these wonderful statements, but if they don't have meaning to you, it doesn't do anything for us. You know, unification doesn't stand on its own. It's got to have that first step, that I mentioned to you to get there. So let's look at, who are you? Who, if I were to come up to you, we just met, and there's one or two people here that I haven't met before. So let's say I come up to you later and I said, hi, pleased to meet you. Who are you? What are you likely to say? My name is so-and-so. Then you might tell me how long you've been attending here. You might tell me where you work, what you do, any number of things. But if you really, really, really believe that first step, that God is all there is, what should your answer be? Hi, Tom, pleased to meet you. I'm Spirit. How about that? And you are. It's true. Every single one of you is Spirit, right here, right now. And you don't get to be anything else. Because guess what? Here's a news flash. Before you were born, you only identified yourself as Spirit. And after you take off this garment that we call a physical body and lay it aside and you go on, you're only going to identify yourself as Spirit still. It doesn't change. You are nothing but Spirit. All this other stuff, what you do, where you go, how you dress, how you live, your routine of the day, for those of you who are very disciplined about making sure it's the same, it's all fluff, it's all junk you learn to go along with being Spirit. It's meaningless, except, as we're going to find out, it has some meaning, but only to you. Well, it should have meaning to everybody, by golly, because I know what's right. Well, we'll talk about that too. So let's talk a little bit about God. You heard last week that God is all there is. In all of these studies, and I went through all this study to become a minister, and years and years and years of reading, and I thought, boy, I'm really going to be enlightened when I get done. I'm really going to have the answers. Guess what I found out? God's indescribable. I found out that God is consciousness, mind, and God is love, matter. That's it. I'm going, man, I've spent a lot of time studying to learn that God is mind and matter, consciousness, and love. But it's true. When God creates each of us out of the substance of itself, it's creating us out of that infinite array of love energy that vibrates at this high level, the highest level of unconditional love. That's pure love. That's the love of God. And that's who your spirit and your spirit and your spirit and your spirit, that's who your spirits are. Wow. Okay. Talk's over. Go have a good day. But how many of you get out of bed in the morning and think, all that I am is love? Does it even cross your mind during the day? Well, I know I've got to be somewhere in just a couple of minutes, and I've got this to do, and this to do, and this to do, and oh yeah, I'm loved, so I probably ought to throw in there loving somebody somewhere. And sometimes that's about as much of conscious entertaining of love as we do in the day. Now, if we know that's who God is, why can't we explain that to people? If I go up to you and I say, who or what is God? You go, well, I know that God doesn't judge. And I know that this teaching tells me that God doesn't punish anyone. God doesn't show favoritism. Okay. So define God. Tell me what God is so that I'll know. You know, I'm an old country boy and I don't know all kinds of stuff. So explain to me who God is. Well, think about it. What did you learn last week? God is omnipotent. God is omniscient. God is omnipresent. How do you explain to somebody what all powerful means, or all knowing, or all present means? So what do? Well, we're humans. We take the easy way out. We anthropomorphize God. Now, don't you like that word? I like that word. Anthropomorphize. That means we give God human tendencies and human characteristics. You know the old saying, God created all humans in its image, and humans have been trying to return the favor ever since. And it's true. We've got a whole bunch of people today meeting all across this country, all around the world, that are going, God is a father. Really? How about, could God be a mother? How about if both of those are limiting? No matter how you try to define God, you are quantifying. That's all we as humans know how to do. That's all the further that our minds can take us right now, is to try to quantify God. And God can't be quantified. So if I ask you, who or what is God? And you go, I don't know. Well, that's probably as good an answer as anything else you could say. I can't tell you other than to say, well, let's look at some of the wisest minds. Let's look at some of the mystics through the ages. That's what Ernest Holmes did. And the mystics generally agreed on only just a few things. They had lots of answers. But looking just at the agreement, they said that God is a personal presence. Personal presence. Now think about that. God isn't something out there. It's personal. And it's a personal presence in you and as you. And then they went on to say, but it's not anthropomorphic. It doesn't have human tendencies. It's greater than you are, greater than I am, because this physical world limits us. And the other truth they said was that God does not function within individuals, that individuals function within God. Now, that one takes a little bit to think about. But what that's saying to you in practical terms is, whatever you're doing, wherever you're going, whatever you're saying, you are expressing God. Now, it takes a tiny bit of thinking to realize that when you stub your toe and you speak some words that Mama wouldn't like you to speak, that you're still expressing God. We have this tendency as humans to think that there's a right and a wrong, a good and a bad, just like we think there's an up and a down. We compare, we contrast, we criticize, we judge. But an expression of spirit remains an expression of spirit, regardless of what we categorize it to be, what we say it is. It's still an expression of spirit. We just had a brutal cold spell flow across this country. Lots of snow in some areas, people without power for a long time. You know what? God was in that storm. God was in that cold spell. We had a beautiful few days of nice weather here. Thought it was going to be spring for a few days. Surprised me this morning. It's not spring anymore. But God's in the weather, and God's in you and me. And however we react, we are still spirit expressing. Now, you may say to me, if all this is true, Tom, I do spiritual mind treatments. Why aren't they working? And I might ask you, well, how do you know it's not working? Or you might ask me. Take, for instance, let's go to the news. Probably the prominent is the word I'm looking for, prominent news story this week has been the injury to a young football player, Damar Hamlin. Played for the Buffalo Bills. Monday night they were playing in Cincinnati, playing the Cincinnati Bengals, and in the first quarter, he made a tackle, bounces up like football players do because they're human. He bounces up, immediately collapses, falls on the ground, and we find out that he went into cardiac arrest. Fortunately, medical staff started giving him CPR right away. He became conscious again, went into cardiac arrest at the hospital a second time. They revived him again. Now I was watching, I'm a football geek, so I was watching the game. I saw him fall, and I'm going, that doesn't look like just passing out. And it wasn't. But the announcers, with a delay, and there was a great long delay, the announcers of the game started calling for prayers. You watched the other players on the field as they knelt down and they started praying. Then they switched back to the studio announcers and they asked for prayers. And all week long, the news articles have said about prayers and how the family is so thankful for the prayers. And I'm going, millions of people are praying for this guy, and rightfully so, rightfully so. I happen to know that we have a center in Chicago, Center for Spiritual Living, in Cincinnati, of Greater Cincinnati. A couple of the ministers there are my personal friends. I know that they were praying for him. Millions of people were. So there's this wide variety of prayer and a wide variety of requests in these prayers. And there's a wide variety of expectations. One person might have been praying merely for God's highest and best. Another for full recovery. Another for beyond a full recovery, his return to the football field. I have no idea whether all those prayers have or will be answered. What I know is he's an expression of spirit. He was on that football field in critical condition, still in the hospital. He's still an expression of spirit, and he will remain an expression of spirit. And the only person that can make the determination of was the prayer answered or not is the person doing the praying. And we set the standard. So if we set a standard of, I want him to return to the football field, so that's what I'm going to pray is that he recovers and goes back and plays again, and he's not able to do that, then our prayer wasn't answered. Or was it? Was spirit present in this young man? Is spirit still present in this young man? Then I would suggest to you, whatever you asked for in prayer, your prayer was answered. Because I think spirit's highest and best is always being recognized and always being expressed in each of our lives. I believe that. I believe that from the bottom of my heart. or I wouldn't have spent all those years studying to become a minister and had to ask my wife for all that money. So- but let's look at, I better check here. How long do I have? Till 2, did you say? Tuesday to Tuesday. Actually, I forgot to see what time I started, so I don't know when to stop. Um, but let's talk a little bit about what our teaching says about why we don't know some things. And Ernest Holm had some really interesting things to say about it. He suggests that if there's any confusion with our unification, that it results from acts of the ego. Now, I want you to put Freud away. We're not talking about Freud's ego here. We're talking about Dr. Ernest Holmes. And if you read through many things that Holmes wrote, he talks about ego a lot of different ways. But it boils down to, he talks of two. And the first one is, make sure I say it right, the divine ego. And he says that's spirit in you. That's the divine individuality in each one of us. That's our divine ego. And he goes on and he calls it essence, the essence of who we are. Now, this ego is with a capital E. It's the big ego. That's spirit in you. And it started out way back at the beginning of creation, not your creation. And we're not talking about conception here. We're going back. Remember, one of the things about God is eternal. It means it was before everything, including the Big Bang, and will be here after everything. That's at some point was where spirit started. That's where you started. And you started perfect, whole, and complete, just as God is perfect, whole, and complete. And you didn't change. Now, you might do some things I might question. I do some things I question. But that doesn't change the essence of who I am. I am perfect, whole, and complete. I will remain that way, and so will you. That is the essence of who we are. Now, the other ego that Holmes hones in on, he calls personality. And that's our ego with the little e. That's our very personal ego. That's the who we think we are. It's our mental ego. And that's the one that is reflected here. All right? That's the one that made me choose the blue and white sweater for my top and my blue pants. Blue is my favorite color. I didn't bother to say to Spirit, I don't know what to wear today. Guide me through the closet here. I went in and I said, I'm going to wear what I like. Now, the dominant emotion of ego with the big E is love. Everything is love, and it reacts to the world with unconditional love. The ego with the little e is not the same way. Its dominant emotion is fear, because it's trying to protect us and make us safe. That's where our flight, fight, and freeze impulse comes from. That's our small ego. It's also our self-serving ego. That's where, when I get to acting this way, I like to call it, I'm doing my Frank Sinatra thing. I'm just doing it my way. Yeah. Anytime the My Way song comes in, I can pretty well be sure that I'm acting from the small ego right then. Because I'm not thinking about you or anyone else in the world, probably not even thinking about spirit. I'm thinking about Watash, Tom. I'm not really looking for anything. other than your approval of me as I choose to express myself. And there's a lot of times I express myself in ways that I bet you wouldn't approve of. Now, when we come into the world and we're moving around, do you think we really expect the world to support this outrageously crazy claim that we're all expressing spirit in everything that we do, everything that we say, and everything that we think? We go, no, I see this person over here, and what they said, that can't be an expression of spirit. And that one over there, what they did, that's not an expression of spirit. So we dream up this illusion of what we call separation. We separate ourselves from spirit. Now, is Ernest Holmes right, or is he wrong? He said, well, you're never separate from spirit. You're spirit all the time. You may not just express yourself as spirit in an uplifting way. So I'm not ignoring spirit. I'm not choosing not to be spirit. I'm just not letting spirit be expressed in a way that uplifts. And what does that mean? What does that mean to you or me or anyone else? As we choose, every moment that we choose, I choose how I wish to express. I don't choose it for you. I choose it for the spirit that is within me. But what were we taught in this idea of separation? We have to be a certain way and treat people a certain way. Or else. Or else what? Well, or else I was going to go home and somebody was going to go get a switch and I was going to get, that did happen, by the way. But realize that we come into this world and experiences happen to us. And these experiences play with us and they build upon this idea of separateness. And they build this idea of contrary physical experiences that says, there's differences. We're all different. And we learn to love this idea of being separate. I know you probably don't think back to this, but we find out that experiences become remembered. There's research that says even during the gestation period, there are experiences that people remember. They can recall. If their mind or their brain is stimulated in certain ways, they remember stuff. And we know that things happened over the course of our lives. We started off life here. We came out, got born. We're going, holy cow, these lights are bright. I was just warm, kind of kicked back, and now look. And by the way, I'm hungry. Can we call room service? And then we realize we can't speak. Oh my goodness. So what do? Wow, we cry. Yeah, we get somebody's attention. We go, over here. Send the waiter over here. All right. And we're encouraged. We're encouraged to sit up, and we're encouraged to crawl, and we're encouraged to walk. And then we get older. And then we go into our adolescent period, and it's like, you're not going out of the house wearing that. I can't believe you said this to whatever. And then we get a little older, and we're studying, we're getting ready for our career, and then, why in the world do you want to do that? Nobody makes a living doing that. You can't get a job studying history. All right. So all of those things, and we realize, well, I'm different. I'm unique. I'm separate. And the world affirms this over and over and over. You look back, I don't have to give you examples. Look back at your own life. And you see all the times that you were told you were different. And your response was, no, I'm unique. And we do need to have a little tribe, like our home groups that Dusty was talking about, where we're accepted just the way we are, where somebody connects with us, spirit to spirit, just the way we are. You don't have to change who you are. You don't have to be any different. You don't have to be separate. We can realize that we are one. We are just as we need to be. Now, I talked a little bit about speaking, and I want to go get into that real quickly. You know, Linda Compton, and let me make sure I get this correctly. She said, some of us are public speakers. We are all private speakers. Do you know? Get over here. I don't want you to miss this. Do you know? Do you realize that every single time you talk, everything you say, you have a captive audience of more than 37 trillion. That's because whatever you say, not only are you hearing it with your heart and your mind, every cell in your body is hearing what you say. So you have the opportunity to define and redefine all the influences in your life with what you say. Now, I want you to know this isn't the easiest thing in the world. Michael Singer wrote a book called The Untethered Soul, and he talked about this a little bit. He said, you know, there's a mental dialogue going on inside your head that never stops. I read one research study a few years ago that said the voices inside our head are talking at about 650 words per minute or more. That's pretty doggone fast. I'm probably speaking 200, maybe 220 words a minute. If you listen to the radio and you hear a car commercial, and at the end the guy comes on and goes words you can't even understand, that person's talking at about 450 words a minute. So think 650 a minute. Now, where it slows down so that you can understand it all and really pay attention is those times when you're nervous, you're tense, you wake up in the middle of the night and your mind is going, hi there, how are you doing? You know what you got to do tomorrow? I said, I'm going back to sleep. No, let's think about what we're going to do tomorrow. You know, and that dialogue goes on. Mine started this morning at about 5 o'clock. Okay. Any of you ever had that experience? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I knew I was speaking to the choir here. Well, the interesting thing is Singer goes on to say that this inner chatter is what Holmes calls the personality, that mental ego, the ego with a small e most of the time. It's motivated by fear. But here's the key. We human organisms are meaning-making organisms. We like to have meaning in the world. We want the whole story. We want the really big novel, like Crime and Punishment. It's that thick. All right, we want the whole story front to back, and if we don't know it, we'll make it up and fill it in. And that's what these voices do. They're going to reach back into the past. Now, there's no fun reaching back and getting your successes in the middle of the night. We're going to reach back and go, you know, you remember that time when? And remember, its motivation is fear. So it's going to project out into the future. Oh, it doesn't look good to me, Tom. You really, you're not prepared. You really need to change this. All right, it's 5 o'clock. I'm going to speak in about 4.5 hours. What do you mean I need to change? No. All that stuff. No, you don't want to do that. It's terrible. No one will resonate with it. Now, there's good news and there's bad news. The bad news is it never stops talking. It's going on. It's going on in my head right now, even as I'm speaking to you. It's going on in your head, even as you're meditating. You're just not listening. It's in there. It's sort of like, remember the old spaghetti sauce commercial, Prego? It's in there. Well, the voices in your head, they're in there, and they're at work. It narrates the world for you, but it's not narrating a pretty picture. So what can you choose to do? Remember, your inner world is what? Spirit. And it's yours. It's an individualized expression of spirit. You are in total control of it. So you get to control and you get to choose what's going to go on in there. If you can't make it stop, what can you do? You can choose. I can choose not to listen. I can choose not to argue with it, not to contradict it, not to say, shut up, get over there in the corner. I just don't listen. And in the times that I'm doing my spiritual practices, they're geared to give new information, give new viewpoints to it, make it harder for that voice to find negative junk. That's part of why we do affirmations. It's part of why we do prayer and spiritual study. All of those things that are our spiritual practices. Now, you can choose and pick which ones you like. But we fill that subjective mind that we call the law, that only knows to say yes, we fill it with good stuff, with uplifting stuff, so that it will recall it and talk about it more. Let me take a peek. I'm done talking here, just pretty quick here. Put that away. You see, we have an innate ability to create the universe. And it is who we are, who we really are. And it is expressing as exactly that, who we really are. We're expressing as spirit, and we create the universe within. And where our consciousness is, it extends out, it radiates out into the world. And as you create this universe that works for everyone inside you, start there, it can't do anything else except express out. And I want to leave you with these words. It's actually a quotation from Dr. John B. Waterhouse from Asheville. And he says, unification is your true nature. Once the veils of judgment and separation begin lifting, you begin experiencing an intensely joyous connection to all of life. Unification is who you are. Enjoy it. Have fun with it. Realize the truth of it every day, every moment. It's here, it's now. And so it is. All right, let's turn within. And let's speak a word of affirmative prayer. I know that there's only one life. I know that life is God or God's life. I know that life is perfect. And I know with absolute certainty that that life is my life right now. And I know it's your life right now. For I know that God truly is all there is. I know that God is the source of all that is. God is the first cause, the eternal cause of all creation, the divine presence and spirit of the universe. And I know there is nowhere that God is that you are not and that I am not. I know that if there's any limitation of expression as the divine in me, it is eliminated right here, right now. That the only expression of the divine is the true expression of spirit as itself, expressing in physical form as Tom. And as I know this is true for me, I know it's true for each one of you. That spirit expresses in and as each of you in all of its fullness, in all of its perfection, in all of its wholeness, in all of its truth. And I'm grateful for this knowing. I'm grateful for the knowing that we see this connection, this unification, and that it is our nature, it is our expression of spirit. And so I'm grateful for this word. I'm grateful for the fulfillment of this word, for I see it fulfilled everywhere I go. I look for it to be, and it is. Because I know spirit expresses as everything and everyone. And so I release this word into the law. I know that the law always answers yes. And I know that this is perfect. I know it's good. I know it's true. I know that spirit is present and wants to express as life for each of us and experience life as each of us. What a lovely feeling. What a lovely knowing. And so I anchor this in the truth that is God and ask you to join me in the universe in anchoring it and affirming it by saying together, and so it is. I didn't bother to read the script. I'm going to go sit down now.
Thank you so very much, Tom. That was awesome. I don't know if it showed up for you, but I can remember times in my life when I wished that I knew the truth that I know now, when somebody was looking at me kind of in anger and said, "Who the hell do you think you are?" It would have been, there was never a good answer for that, right? You were in trouble however you answered it. So if you just could have looked at them and said, "Spirit," it might have made all the difference in the world in that moment, right? Well, thank you very much, Tom. It's now time for our conscious giving. The Triangle Center for Spiritual Living is sustained by the giving of our time, talent, and treasure. And so this is the time every week when we share financially so that we can allow this community to continue to be a beacon of light and warmth and love in the Greater Triangle area. Together, we affirm the truth that today's offering lifts this spiritual community, prospers the one giving, and adds to the energy of sufficiency on the planet. So there's several ways that you can give, and they're there on the screen and also on your screen at home. Visit our website at www.trianglecsl.org. Text the word "give" to 919-230-8445 or send a check to our office at P.O. Box 4062, Cary, North Carolina 27519. In this moment, I just invite everyone to please place your hand over your heart with your gift or with a affirmation for our community or for yourself, and we'll say our affirmation in a call and response. I live in an abundant universe that blesses and prospers my life. I give with gratitude, knowing that God is my source. And so it is. So it is. And so, please, welcome back to our piano, the awesome Cindy Johnson.
Wouldn't it be incredible if all of us would really look at that larger ego and recognize it in other people? I think
this is what might happen.
Imagine there's no heaven. It's easy if you try. No hell below us, above us only sky. Imagine all the people living for today. Imagine there's no countries. It isn't hard to do, and nothing to kill or die for, and no religion too. Imagine all the people, including us, living life in peace. You may say that I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you'll join us, and this world will be as one. Imagine no possessions. I wonder if you can. No need for greed or hunger. Oh, a brotherhood of man. Imagine all the people living life in peace. You sing with me. You may say I'm a dreamer, oh, but I'm not the only one. No, we're not. I hope someday you'll join us, and the world will live as one. Thank you. You're welcome.
Anyone would like prayer, please go to our website and triangle.org. On the homepage, there's a button in the upper right hand corner. Click on that button, fill in the request form, and we will get that prayer sent out to all the ministers and practitioners. If anyone would like to dedicate a flower dedication to anyone for anything, please contact Heather Abbott at information@triangle.org or Reverend Dusty at dustyripplemeyer@yahoo.com. Join us today following the service for visioning and the creation of your own vision board for 2023. We've already done that, right? Moving on to the next one. This is the January 21st. We're moving on. This is a save the date announcement for an evening of fun, laughter, and musical comedy on Saturday, January 21st. Join us as we welcome international performance and recording artists Armand and Angelina. They offer a fantastic, uplifting show full of humor, passion, life, and love for each other. They will be performing their humorous songs and spiritual truths in a comic way. It has been coined a comedy show because this performance is filled with fun songs, skits, crazy costumes, and more. Come see them and learn a new twist on giving and receiving. They love giving away stuff. The concert is here at 4 Points at Sheraton at 7. The suggested love offering is $20. please RSVP to information@triangle.csl.org. Armand and Angelina will then join us the following Sunday morning and will provide meditation, the message, and the music. The talk title is Getting High on Gratitude. Angelina is a classically trained vocalist and uses her voice to open hearts and bring joy to the world. Armand is an inspirational speaker, musician, and author whose light-hearted approach to spirituality invites us all to live life passionately. Together, using songs, stories, and humor, they remind us that we were meant to experience heaven on earth. The meditation 9:45 and the service at 10:15. So if you haven't yet, go to your calendars, January 21st, and take a picture. Following the service at 12:15, join them as they offer each of us the opportunity to take part in a sacred sound meditation that same Sunday called Angel Harp and Native Flute Meditation Experience. Each attendee will feel the powerful healing vibrations as Angelina places her angel harp on each person while playing sacred tunes into their bodies. Armand will add Native American flute, shanty bells, singing bowl, rain stick, and other magical sounds to enhance your experience. Everyone is invited to bring a sacked lunch or go to one of the nearby restaurants and get something to bring back as we break bread together between the service and the meditation. The suggested love offering is $30. Please RSVP to information@triangle.csl.org. There's another save the date for Sunday, February 26th. Join us as we welcome the amazing Amy Steinbeck back to our center and our family. On Sunday, she will facilitate the message and the music celebration service. Her talk title is When You Find Your Glow, You Are in the Flow. The meditation is 9:45 and the service is at 10:15. Following the service at 12:15, she will be sharing her gifts and her talents and not to be missed concert. Amy is truly one of a kind. You will have an amazing experience, I promise. Again, everyone is invited to bring a lunch or go to one of the nearby restaurants and get something to bring back as we share and break bread together between the service and this program. The suggested love offering is $20. Please RSVP at the Triangle, information@triangle.csl.org. So in this moment, in the comfort of your own home, and everyone here, please stand for our January affirmation. This is a call and response. Please repeat it with meaning. January affirmation 2023. There's one life. That life is God's life. That life is my life now. There's one life. That life is God's life. That life is my life now. I am a living embodiment of the divine. I am a living embodiment of the divine. Furthermore, I see the entire world as one expression of its power and presence. Furthermore, I see the entire world as one expression of its power and presence. Like a moving, living, breathing kaleidoscope of color, we are all connected to the one single source. The moving, living, breathing kaleidoscope of color, we are all connected to the one single source. Today, I commit to being bold in my expression of life. Today, I commit to being bold in my expression of life. I give thanks in advance, knowing with unwavering faith that the good of God is within me each and every day. I give thanks in advance, knowing with unwavering faith that the good of God is with me each and every day. I surrender my falsehoods, my fears, and my doubts, freeing myself to live in celebration. Surrender my falsehood, my fears, and my doubts, freeing myself to live in celebration. This one life is my life right now, and I celebrate it out loud. The one life is my life right now, and I celebrate it out loud. And so it is. And so please be seated. As one last time, we turn within and close our outer eyes and turn our inner eyes wide open as we recognize the absolute truth of oneness, of unity, of all that is, that God is always here, right here, and it is a choice that we tap into this. It is of what we are, the essence, the oneness, the one power. And so I am so grateful for this service. I'm so grateful for everyone's presence. And I'm so grateful for knowing this truth wherever I go, whoever I meet, in every moment. I take this with me I know that you take it with you, knowing truly that we all are spirit, one spirit at that. I'm so grateful for all the talent for that was shared today, for Reverend Tom's talk, and for everyone that was here today. So thank you so much. And together we anchor it by saying, and so it is.
Thank you all so very much for being with us. Thank you for inviting us into your homes. Thank you, Tom. Thank you, Cindy. Thank you to the practitioners, to all of the volunteers, to Ava and to Dave. And thank you to all of you. I love you. Have a great week.